in a week, I had like 2,000 followers, and emails are blowing up left and right.
What was your first post? I mean, I feel like that must have been
my
pretty
first
good.
post would have been Mechanicsville Rescue Squad 2. I did a nice blue
Oh, yeah,
2.
I know the truck.
Yep.
Welcome to the 2448. I am Sam. I'm here with Danny from Box Alarm Grills. I'm so glad to have you here with us.
No, thank you guys for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So today we're just going to be chatting about your business, Box Alarm Grills, and I want to hear kind of about how it started, the background, where you're going, that sort of stuff. And I figure let's kick it off with just
the down and dirty.
give me where you come from. Yeah.
So out of Westgrove, PA, born and raised, third generation in the fire service. So my life has definitely evolved around the firehouse and going to the station with my dad. Then,
So you're a fireman now?
Yep, still active. I got September. I hit 20 years in with Westgrove Fire Company, and I couldn't be more proud. 22's in my blood, like I said. And my dad was involved back in the 70s. He bought the first custom pumper that they could afford. They had like 2 nickels, he said, to rub together, and that was awesome. About it. But he was soliciting to get the money, and now it's like we look at it and. He was like a backbone of where we are today.
As a fire department.
Yeah, he got the money for us locked in with the townships and the municipal funding. So
that's cool.
We're doing really well.
So what do you guys actually do? Just like assume I know nothing about your business.
Okay, so we did metal grill numbers. That's just how I started off, just to give a little bit of company pride to you guys. So the front end of the fire truck is usually just a big chrome grill coming down the street. You don't know what it is. So here, if you have 3 or 4 trucks that are the same make, but you don't have any way to visualize, like, hey, this is engine 1 making the block, or engine 2 is a commander. That way they could see this coming down the street. Oh, engine 2, okay, good. They're going to be my first in engine, and they're going to make a hit or whatever, do whatever they have to do.
So you guys make, like, primarily identifier, like numbers that bolt to the grills and that sort of stuff?
That's it, yeah. So we figured it out, and after talking with Craig, who helped me out a lot, I owe him a lot. He really did get me going and build it. And he said, okay, we can do this, and this is how we're going to do it. So then I would, with my CAD background from college, I drew everything in CAD that, like, hey, this guy wanted a custom number cut.
Yeah.
So I would draw that out in CAD, and I could send him the file, and that way he could water jet it or CNC machine, whichever one was open.
Oh, yeah.
And he would help me out with that. And then once I got established and going, then we started to get some product, get a little bit of inventory going, and then we haven't turned back.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Bring me back to the early days. What was one of your first, like, how did you come up with, the idea for putting a number on a grill and kind of giving that unique deal?
That's it. I would just say that, like, looking at a neighboring department that had it, I was like, these guys here, they're proud of their company number. And that's it. That brands you. Hey, I'm from 22. Hey, I'm from Station 18, Station 1, whatever.
Yeah.
And you look at it like, FDNY rigs had it, like the Blue 3 on Rescue 3. That's iconic. Everybody knows about Rescue 3 and FDNY.
How did those guys build those originally?
Yeah, they all did them out of cutting out of plywood and stuff. Some are definitely a little rattier than others, but with our operation is aluminum, a reflective vinyl, or we can do custom, American flag. I'm always about that. Companies in Maryland, they love the Maryland flag. How can you not?
We got a lot of friends in Maryland.
Yes, the Maryland flag is definitely a predominant thing, and so we've been doing that. And
so when you started, you were in the fire station, just volunteering on the side, and then working your land surveyor job. Mm-hmm. What kind of precipitated the first, like, from, hey, I'm going to do this as a project, to, like, maybe I'm going to turn this into a business?
I would say when I probably got my first big department-wide order. So that way I wasn't licensed. I was just, like I said, I would just charge time and material plus $30 so I could buy a case of beer at the end of the week.
Yeah.
That's how we would do it. And then I figured I got a department-wide. I was like, well, how am I supposed to do that with, like, taxes? If I make over $5.99, I get taxed. I don't have, like, Uncle Sam coming in and, like, confiscating my house or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was uneducated on that business aspect. So then I was like, but I'm losing money now because I just did a department wide. I only charged them $600, but it cost me $900 to make. I was like, I can't survive like that.
How did people hear about you? Like, what was it like to go from, like, hey, this is just my thing, to, like, hey, I'm actually going to do this?
So I would say my buddy Ray Fuller, he was the one that told me to put it on social media. And social media is such a powerful tool even today. But I mean, 8 years ago, I didn't, social media was still figuring it out on the business aspect, and now you can do so much stuff by branding yourself, selling products. He was like, hey, put it on social media and just see what happens.
Yeah.
In a week, I had like 2,000 followers, and emails were blowing up left and right.
What was your first post? I mean, I feel like that must have been
my first post would have been Mechanicsville Rescue Squad 2. I did a nice blue 2.
I know the truck.
Yep, did a nice blue 2 for them, and then I followed up with my buddy Ray. He was fire chief of Boothwyn, and so he wanted 40s for his whole truck. And then the departments all throughout the Mid-Atlantic area started to come after me and be like, hey, we want them, can we get this, that?
Yeah.
And then that's when I was like, hey, Craig, we need to like ramp up because I'm getting a lot of emails and a lot of orders.
Yeah.
And I need to get a lot of production going.
What was the first couple of orders like? I mean, were you making early ones by hand?
Yeah, everything was by hand. So I would go after work, I would go and we would like use a saw and we would cut. We'd just sit down there and cut metal all day or evening. And then we would put the vinyl on by hand. And then finally got booted up to where now we have graphics guys that can handle doing all the funky stuff. I mean, I'm only a graphical to an extent, and then after that, it's outside of my realm. Like, I'll hand it off to the professionals.
Yeah.
And now with, the CNC machine and still doing CAD work and stuff, it makes it easier.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about that. So in your normal, like in your land surveying job, what do you actually do in that role? Like, how does that tie together?
So, say somebody wants to lay out a road or something like that, so they need to know how to put out a road. So then we'll end up going down, staking out the center line of road. So that one there would come from a CAD file, upload it, and then we would calculate, the side slopes, how the road's supposed to percent, if you're going into a curve, left, right.
Are you doing kind of that engineering work? Are you doing the measurement, or what's your role in that?
Measurement, yeah. We're doing the measurements, turning angles, and shooting distances. That's how we operate. The engineers, they draw it on the piece of paper. We're putting it into the field.
That's awesome. And so does that translate over to the metal work?
I would say that helped me out because I know the computer programming and how to operate that. And then the business aspect part of like trying to worry about, hey, I got a lawyer, I have an accountant now.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff there, that was like all secondhand knowledge where I would just ask questions to business owners. Like, how did you do this? And,
what was some good advice folks gave you early on?
I would say like Johnny Manfredi, he told me he was, they have a cold storage facility, and he was like, hey, he's like, one day I was just sitting at the office and the phone rang, and here it is, Chiquita Bananas. And they're like, hey, I got 6 tractor trailer loads I need to get to a cooler box. Can you do it? He was like, I'll do it. And he answered the phone personally, you know what I mean? When you say, he would say Manfredi. So when anybody calls Box Alarm Grills, I'm answering it. So, the buck starts right with me, and, we build a relationship right from that first call.
Awesome. Obviously, your business is really tied to the fire industry. Grills for fire trucks. I mean, you're not putting them on personal vehicles. Mm-hmm. But how much of your maybe fire service history in your family kind of helped you think about business from the perspective of like doing the job, or how do they relate to each other aside from the fact that it's actually on the front of on a grill in a fire truck?
To do the job, I would just say that, being around the firehouse and getting that culture and understanding the tradition. And, when you said, hey, I'm from 22, everybody knew that was Westgrove. So
yeah,
I would say that, building on top of what that tradition was, that's what I think gave me the drive to make it better.
Yeah.
And do a good job with what we were doing.
What was it like growing up in the firehouse?
In the firehouse, I mean, it was fun. You'd sit down there, guys would be busting chops. It's the University of Busting Balls. That's a firehouse.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, it was family.
Yeah.
That's it. We would always, if somebody was having a party, everybody from the firehouse came to that party.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And, the brotherhood is definitely alive.
Yeah. And your dad, was he the first fireman in your family? Or how
no, my grandfather was back in the 30s and 40s and 50s. He got out. And then my dad got in 70s. And then I got in as soon as I could, September of 2002.
What was kind of the early catalyst? Why did you decide that fire service was the track for you?
Well, I remember as a kid, we'd always have the scanner playing in the background. That was part of the house, and to this day, I still play on the scanner every day. And I get yelled at. Like, so she'll be talking, and I'm like, shh, tones are dropping. I hear the box coming.
Oh yeah.
And
and then I wake up and I'm like, why are you waking up? I heard tones on the scanner. I'm like, what is wrong with that?
That's awesome.
Yeah, I do. The scanner plays on nonstop. And then also just going down to the firehouse and remembering my dad, like, getting up in the middle of the night and going down to the firehouse. And then I'd, like, sit in the window because in our 2-story house, we could watch them come up the street
Oh,
from the
nice.
fire station. And so, I always would like that. And then I'd go listen to the scanner all night.
That's cool.
So.
Do you still actively get to participate at the fire station?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the stats just came out. I'm at like 22%, I think, for the runs for the year. So, I mean, I give it all I can.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
What is it about the fire service culture that seems to breed business friendliness? When I think about so many people we've had on the show and people that I know in the space that work in the fire service and then also they start a side gig or they work full time in whatever their family business is and they kind of volunteer in the fire service. Mm-hmm. But I wonder, like, why do you think they're so closely related?
I would just say the way that we have something common. We're all human and we're out here to help each other. Like, we don't want to see anybody fail. We don't want to see anybody get hurt. We're here to help each other. And I think when you go to them trade shows, which I really have been amping that up, which has helped out, and just talking shop with guys.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we found something common. Now we can start to try to get them in on our business. Hey, this is what we're doing. We're not doing this just for fun and games. Like, we're actually doing this to, like, give you guys a little bit of pride. And we're also trying to do something that's functionality. So, like, the battalion chief, hey, here comes engine 4 down the street. We're good. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, he can identify it.
Yeah. What was it like, you mentioned trade shows. Have you been to any yet? Have you kind of kicked around going to some for the first time, or what's your layout there?
2019 was my first trade show out of FDIC. Got it to work out. And, yeah, it was a lot of moving parts, more than I could handle.
Yeah.
And, with just starting out, April of 2019, too, is when I released my mud flap. So I made sure I had it in time for that. And that got a little bit of traction, but I guess probably where I was in the Lucas Oil Stadium, way back in the corner.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't get too much foot traffic. So now
they're still proud of that space. I'm sure they didn't charge you like it was in the corner. But
I figured it out now, where you got to be and seeing how the traffic flows out there. So I do that. But then I also been doing Virginia Beach a lot. The local shows and stuff like that, it's pretty fun there because, if you get in front of the chief and the people that can spend the money and they understand, this is what I'm trying to do, and, then you have a better connection.
How did you learn kind of the go of what it's like to be in the business side of a trade show or with customers, or did it come naturally, or how did you kind of get into that?
I mean, business, yeah. I mean, I could just talk to anybody, and once we find that common ground, there's no stopping me. I'll just talk about anything. And I would say, like I said, Craig Pfeiffer, he's the one that put me into a business mindset.
What's he do?
He's the fabricator. So that's all he does.
So he helps you actually make the
He's strictly a metal guy, fabrication. And, I mean, any fabricator out there, they are a special breed. How they can take something and just visualize it and make it in metal. And my mind's blown when I go and see the cool projects that they do. But, yeah, he taught me the business aspect of how I need to keep so much in inventory. How do I mark up? How do I run my cost sheets and stuff like that? So beforehand, I was just typing in Excel. I would have, I went to Lowe's for $20.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So I was like,
just for your business books.
Yeah. So I wasn't even tracking hey, that $20 though was for this project. So I wasn't linking that together, and then I could find out my profit loss, a little easier. But I didn't know. Yeah. So then once I figured that out with using QuickBooks and stuff, and understanding how the business aspect went, Craig was he helped me review it. He helped me get it going really well. Because he's been in business for 40-some years, so he knows the ins and outs, and that's who I would look up to.
That's awesome. I feel like mentors are super important, in any business.
And anything that we do, if you have a mentor and you get to pick their brain, and if they're willing to teach, just ride the coattail, ride it.
Has there been anything that really surprised you as you started going that just you wouldn't have expected?
I really didn't think I'd be still sitting in business today.
Really?
Yeah,
Tell
I really
me about
didn't.
that.
I would have thought this year it'd have been a little hot thing, it'd have blown up maybe 2-3 years, and then it'd have faded out, and I'd be like, all right, I had enough. Time to go move on to the next one. But I just found the momentum and the drive, and the orders keep coming in, and once we got on the internet, that brings a whole new aspect of the game.
Yeah.
So that puts your product out a lot further. So I would say that, once I went on the internet and got the development of the mud flaps, their functionality.
Yeah.
Then.
So how do you balance the personal versus, so you work a full-time job, fire service is a full-time job, and then you do this sort of thing. How do you balance that?
And then dealing with personal life?
Yeah, and then have a personal life.
I don't know. if guys that know me, they know that I'm 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I'm not slowing down. I'm full throttle. From the time I wake up to the time I fall asleep, I'm on the go all the time. So I think that's what really gives me. But I mean, in the end, Victoria, she's always stayed beside me and supported me throughout.
That's awesome.
On that. So
yeah,
you got to give her time back.
That's good. What do you guys do kind of in your, like, to enrich your personal life in addition to your business and to your fire service? Like, how do you keep all that up?
How? I would say that we have a good foundation. So we both enjoy watching baseball, Phillies games we go to. The beach is our getaway from getaway. That's where we just tone everything out and get the recharge that we need. But I mean, Sundays we usually try to make it for the family time and seeing her parents or my parents.
Oh yeah.
That's something we try to keep.
I think you're really fortunate to have a lot of really good friends that also help a lot with the business.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, hey guys, let's come over and we can all assemble mud flaps and then we'll drink beer after. And everyone's like, all right, sounds great, we'll be over.
That's awesome.
We have Dan has a lot of really great friends that help a ton. So then you're spending time with your friends and you're working on your business. So everyone wins.
That's awesome. Are they all firemen or just old pals?
Yeah, they're all firemen. Yeah. I'll draw them out of the firehouse and bring them up, and we'll get a grind in one night. Like I told them, I already sent the text message out, like, hey, Thursday, I'll be back home. I need you guys.
That's awesome.
They're like, all right, we'll be there. So, Thursday's going to be real busy. And then Friday we got a Phillies game, trying to get into the World Series, which would be great. And
That's
then
awesome.
Sunday is the Eagles Sunday night game, so we're
Dang.
gonna make that too. So it'll be
good.
it's gonna be busy, that's for sure. But we have fun, and like I said, as Victoria said, the friendships that I have built, from battalion chiefs to that I could call up the deputy chief of Palm Beach Gardens. I feel like I know him personally now. You
That's
know what I mean?
awesome.
And, I just always try to stay in contact with them and help people out. But, yeah, the friends that I built through the business and that support me, it's worth $1 million.
That's awesome. Can you tell me a little bit about your growth, like what it's been like to go from the very first order, like one set of numbers, to however many you're building today? I mean, what's that growth process felt like, and what have you learned kind of during that phase?
I've doubled every year.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's ridiculous. I mean, it's hard to wrap my head around it right now because, it's just slammed with everything. But, I mean, I still try to keep it as homey feeling and family-oriented possible. I remember my first order, I'd asked my dad, I was like, hey, I need $500. I was like, I don't have it. I just didn't have it because I just
What did you spend it on?
I had to buy equipment, saws, stuff like that, drills, had to buy the metal, had to buy vinyl. Like I had to get myself started up and get going. So I asked him for $500. He wrote the check for me, and I took that $500 and I turned it around to bigger figures this year.
That's awesome. Did you pay him back?
Oh, I definitely paid him back. Yeah. I told him, I was like, I'll take care of you. I was like, what's the interest rates now, though?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I'll give you $500 cash. And he was good. And he was like, it's all right, bud.
My mom let me, I was the one who say $500 something for a snowplow years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
And I finally paid her back. It took like 10 years. I finally paid her back. She was like, geez, Sam, it was really fun. I was like, I still think it's fair.
That's it.
What's fair is fair.
I like to keep my money in my pocket, too, but it's hard to give away.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
so I want to know a little bit about kind of what your fire service training and career was like. It's not necessarily business, but that's obviously what gives your business all of its character is it's that fire service culture personified on the rig. Tell me about your experience in the fire service.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm on the job, just like anybody else, volunteer, it's bred in my family, I would think. And 16, we got to join. Then you go take off and you get through your academy, get your fire one, and keep on moving, and then get your burns through. And today, I still continue my training as much as I can,
Yeah.
So I would say that, you remember your first call, you remember your worst fires, it's a different breed of life. And, some people just don't understand it, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's the most rewarding job there is.
Yeah.
You help somebody on their worst day, and you don't get many thanks, but deep down inside they're thankful.
Yeah. Are the guys that you work with and guys and gals, does that make that career more unique than, like other stuff that you could do? I mean, versus land surveying, like are the people the same type of people, or is there something different about it?
Yeah, we're all different cut. We're all a little crazy in the head.
Yeah.
We we definitely don't grow up. We still like big trucks and sounding loud and stuff like that. Still act like 3-year-olds out there with the hose sometimes. But outside of that, though, it is a different culture, that's for sure. And but it's worth it, and I would hope anybody that's looking to do something extra, they volunteer and just try it out.
Yeah.
Just see if it's for you.
Are there many other business people at your fire station?
Yeah, we have a wide range. We have people that are township managers. We have people that work for state. We have people that are electricians that, work Monday through Friday, truck drivers. We have definitely a wide array of people that come. My wife, she's a nurse, so she does the EMS side of things, and I stay off the boo-boo wagon.
That's awesome.
As much as possible.
What's your role at the fire station today?
So I'm just a black hat, ride in the back, ride up front, drive, do whatever's needed. If trucks need to get out, we'll make sure we get them out. That's awesome. It. Yeah.
Is the fire service business similar to the business to running any business? I mean, because I feel like you got expenses, you got people, you got all the stuff.
Yeah. You have the budgeting and, and trying to make sure that you're covering all your T's, and you have the insurance and the lawyers and the policies and everything like that. So, yeah, it's similar, but, a little bit different, I would think. I am just a strictly LLC. I don't put in the employee stuff. Like, I just take care of my employees on their side. Like, hey, if they need something, I'll go out and buy them a new TV or something, whatever, just to help them out, because that's what they're doing to me, is helping me out. Yeah. So I try to treat them with the utmost respect and give them as much as I can. Yeah.
What was it like to kind of recruit your first buddy to help you in your, just like, hey, man, I got this thing I'm doing. Like, you want to come hang out?
Well, my first one was my wife, what I mean?
That's always important.
I'm like, I hope you didn't get your nails done this week, because we got to get some building going on. And so, yeah, after I got her, then my buddy Jack was next in, and he's a carpenter. So I was like, hey, I need you to build boxes for me so I can start shipping out product, because I just don't have the time to do it. And so then he helped me out. Then the guys were like, hey, we'll give you a hand too. And then next thing you know, now everybody wants to come to trade shows with me and stuff. And they just like to talk to people and just to hear their story too, Like, we went out to Firehouse Expo this past week or last week and talked to some guys from Washington State. And I was like, man, you guys do the West Coast tactics so much different than us East Coast guys. I was like, so we just got talking about that and understanding their culture. And it's definitely, we all enjoy that kind of engagement.
Yeah. Do you find that when you're at a trade show and you're talking, you talk shop fire service?
Yeah, I am.
How do you flip into hey, now I actually got to sell something to pay for this trade show booth? Or are you just talking fire service and sales happen naturally?
Yeah, I think it's more natural than anything. And they come up and they're like, hey, yeah, we've been trying to get our chief. We have this cool little number that we put on the patch and we want to get that on the front. I'm like, I'll do it for you. You just send me the file and I'll make it happen.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we got to talk to the chief. And how that is. It's like talking to an act of Congress. But yeah, it's mostly natural, and you have out the products and stuff like that. It's like the Palm Beach one that I just put up was our newest feature that we came out, because the motor engineers were like, oh, you're restricting the airflow.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting challenge to have to kind of work around.
So I was like, how can we do this? Because they were only allowing a 7-inch high number. So I was like, man, it's so small.
How big's a normal one?
16 inches is the overall height.
Oh, so it'd be like half almost.
Yeah. And I was like, that's way too small. So I was like, but I'll do it. I was like, but I got to figure out something else. So then that's when we went for expandable metal, and we put the outline to it and custom painting it and stuff like that. It just popped.
Yeah.
And so that got definitely a lot of traction at the trade show, and I think it's going to be a good thing. I mean, that's the way that we you got to outsmart the engineer.
Oh, yeah. So tell me about that story. I just feel like there's got to be something to it. So did you get a phone call one day that says hey, man, you can't use these anymore? Or?
Yeah. Because I saw on the social media feed, guys were upset about it because they saw why are they coming out so small from the factory now? And, then I investigated, and they're like, hey, the motor companies are suggesting, you only can go this high. Okay, no problem. You got to play by the rules.
Yeah.
So then I was like, what about if we use this mesh stuff, and then I put this outline to it, and I could still make it reflective, and I could paint it to any color you want. Man, that's like a win-win if you ask me. And
so
we can go as
blow
big.
Right through it or something.
Yeah, I was like, the wind, you just can't miss a beat now. And so I just expanded the metal,
Yeah.
and that way air can still pass through.
That's
you
awesome.
have a 1/2-inch border around it, and that's it. I'm not restricting that. If you add it up like a whole number 7, how many square inches?
Yeah.
I'm definitely underneath that.
Have you had other things in business where you started that were like, what the hell? I just want to make a number, and now you're telling me I don't make enough airflow. Like now you got to be an airflow engineer. Have you had other stuff that's like you've had to design around that's been difficult trying to?
Yeah. Now with like the rescue engines are becoming a more popular thing. So now you have hitches and the wiring harnesses underneath the truck. So now I got to notch out mud flaps. I got to build custom fabrications for mounting hardware and stuff like that. So that's definitely a brain teaser right there, trying to figure it all out because at the end of the day, I haven't seen every fire truck. I haven't seen a 1995 Alf, ladder truck or whatever, so I don't know what's going to work, what's not.
How do you normally go about laying your rigs out? Is your primary customer a new truck manufacturer, or is it an end user, or who buys from you normally?
Nothing. It started out, Seagrave was the first one. The guys at Thoroughfare, they got me started, and that was going through a new truck. So April of 19, like I said, I did 6 months of research and development for my mud flaps, and next thing you know, it sat and sat and sat. And I remember my mom would text me like once a week, sell any mud flaps, sell any mud flaps.
So pardon my ignorance. Tell me about these. I don't know what these mud flaps are. Is it just like a truck mud flap? Or
It's a truck mud flap, but it goes entirely across the rear. So
that's you that does those.
Yes.
Sick. So like with the cut station name and all that stuff.
Yeah, whatever you want to put on there.
Sick.
The Black Widow seems to be popular now all of a sudden. So
all like Maryland's got those things on every truck.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was just a Mid-Atlantic thing, but now I'm like selling down to Texas to Skeeter guys.
I didn't know you were doing those things. That's sick.
Yeah. So it definitely has gained the traction, but I mean, it is function because it is literally protecting all that road dirt and grime because it comes up and it gets into a vacuum system basically. And what is your business end on an engine? It's where your hose is off the rear. So that way you're protecting that and reducing all that road grime getting up in your nozzles and the hose.
How did you come up with that idea? I mean, I feel like it's cool. I mean, I've always thought it's a great piece of real estate, but like, how'd you come up with that?
I saw it on one truck and I was like, wow, that is pretty cool. I was like, how can I do it? And, I sat down 6 months. We got through R&D, figuring it out, beating them up, and then finally got a good product. And I liked it. And then I was like, okay, let's make it a little bit better, though. We got to give that 1% more. And so we did, and now we changed out a new product. And, the version 2 mud flap, I think, it's top notch.
What was the process like of learning? Because I feel like you got to learn the brackets, you got to learn how to cut the wrap. Like, what was that like? How'd you learn that?
I just went to a company that did like East Coast printing, and they would print, like Tito's Vodka, like all their signage and banners and stuff like that. So I was like, man, you guys have like the high dollar. Like they're very. If you look at a Tito's logo, it's pretty detailed.
Yeah.
I was like, so how detailed can you do it? And when I give you a sheet of rubber, can we do it?
No way.
So they started printing on that, and we got into a little bit of issues because when we went to 3/8, so we want a little bit thicker. I was like, I just want a little bit beef. I want to beef it up.
Yeah.
And then we had issues there, so we had to take a step back, revamp, regroup our ideas, and then we figured out a newer way. And then now it's what I'm turning now.
How do you go about kind of there's not like a 1-800 mud flaps you can call me like, hey, how do I make this whatever? Like, how do you go about actually?
Well, it's like pretty standard. I mean, I know what Pierce runs and how they operate. Like their mounting underside is pretty much same. E1's the same. Seagrave's the same. But it's those companies that have like the rescue engine style. Then they have the winches all each side.
Yeah.
So you got all that wiring for that. So that's the stuff that I need to go and visit. So I'm getting ready to go up to Long Island in 2 weeks because these guys have a ladder truck, and I'm like, eesh.
Yeah.
I was like, I definitely need to learn this thing. So then that way there, and then I have everything that I do is all on hand notes.
Oh, really?
So I sketch everything out, and then I write underneath there, here you go, this was this truck. This is the year, this is the make, model, and stuff like that. So then that way there I'm building myself up.
Library of stuff.
And that way there I can just be like, oh, okay, I know exactly what I need to do when you call up. And you're saying, hey, I'm from Virginia, and this is the truck I have, and this is what we want to do. I go in that piece of paper and I find it. I'm finally getting organized. Thanks again to my wife, she got me a whiteboard now, so I can I keep things organized.
That's good.
The whiteboard is definitely the most powerful tool.
That's awesome. What's it like working with the truck builders? If someone's ordering a new truck, I mean, are you getting calls from like the OEM manufacturers and their engineers, and they're giving you like, hey, I want this or that, or how does that work?
Yeah, that was I definitely worked dealer direct too, also from the dealers. And then, like I said, my first mud flap sale was with Seagrave. And I remember that phone call. I still have the voicemail to the day when Paul Ritt called me.
Oh, yeah.
And he asked me, he's like, we have a client here who wants to build a mud flap. So I was like, okay, how are we going to do it then? But I told them exactly what I wanted to do. I had a nearby Seagrave that I could go over, and I measured it, and I looked at it, and I was like, okay, this is what I need you guys to do is give me these measurements, and I'll make the rest go away.
That's awesome.
I'll ship it out, and you guys just bolt it on, and everybody's happy. So that's what we did, and, never turned back, and they have never said anything bad about me at all. So I guess I'm doing something right.
What did it feel like to get that first phone call from a truck manufacturer?
Nervous.
Yeah.
I was very nervous. And, because now you're dealing with purchase order agreements.
Oh, yeah.
You're dealing with their lawyers and how they want their payments and stuff like that. Here it is. It's just me, little rinky-dink Dan, and trying to make it in the big world. And, I'm putting all this money out, and then I got to wait another 30 days on top of it. So it's like,
how did you figure out what to when someone calls, hey, I want this, and in the fire truck world, because we're in it, we know there's the game that everybody plays, there's terms, there's all this stuff. Without someone telling you this is what to expect, how did you figure that
out? Pretty much thrown to the wolves, and I didn't know, and that's when I was like, hey, I need to just sit down with my lawyer and explain to me. You got to talk to me this language here it's foreign to me because I don't deal with that in the land surveying world or in the firehouse world. When the pager goes off, I'm just going down to the call and I'm going to answer, whatever the incident is. But this lawyer talking stuff, I need you to help me out.
That's good. What about accounting and that sort of stuff?
Accounting, I was actually fortunate. My mom was in the banking industry, so, I still did everything by check. And that, I know that ticks off my wife more than anything. She's all about paperless and doing it. But I did everything by check, and that way I felt like I knew exactly where my money was going to.
Yeah.
And I wasn't losing track. I don't like giving my information out over the World Wide Web and somebody hacking me and stuff. So
yeah.
The accounting part happened with my mom. She helped me out big time. And then we got into an accounting firm that she was friends with. And so Karen has definitely helped me out on the accounting aspect of it and making sure I'm still on the right path. She always sometimes has to reel me back.
Yeah. I want to go back to the mud flaps, and your original product was numbers, and then you added mud flaps as a piece of tech. What was it that kind of piqued your interest, or why did you think, let's add this to the product portfolio and make that decision?
Because I got the front of the truck and now I had the rear of the truck. So that's what you're seeing. You're seeing us coming and you're seeing us going. That's how we look at it. And it was another way that you can do a custom flare to it. Some people can graphic a truck all up, but when you do it across a 8-foot wide banner on the back end, you can put out a lot of graphics on there. So that's what I did.
What do people normally put on these things?
Mostly what their unit type is, if it's an engine, a rescue, or something like that. Some people put a little bit of sayings, I got one getting ready to come out, high quality H2O. It's going to go in a tanker.
Nice.
So
in Maryland?
No, that's a PA company.
Oh, really? I was gonna say, I think I know some guys in Maryland that would love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I got that one coming out, and then what else? The Black Widow seems like that's a really neat one because everybody's black's the new cool thing.
Oh yeah, blackout trucks are this.
Black mirrors, black everything. And I'm the chrome. I like chrome. That's me. That's how I started it out. And you're the same way too. You have white lights now.
Yeah.
And now you have black lights.
It's really funny. When we started, we had lights that were black, and the black lights were these are the brightest or the baddest. That's exactly what you need. People are yeah, but my old truck has white lights on them. I'm I don't give a shit what your old truck has on it. You're working in the dark. So, just go with this. And they're no. So we retooled the whole business when we started to be able to paint lights white.
Okay.
And then now, 10 years later or 12 years later, whatever the number is.
Black's the
now
way.
black is back. Everyone's oh, no, I want to go back. I'm dude, you guys have no idea how expensive it was to try and learn how to make white lights just for you guys. Because you wouldn't now you actually
now
want
you
the
want
thing?
black?
Yeah.
I was trying to go for black.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Where are your customers around the country? Have you shipped stuff far away as well?
Yeah, I've done Maine. I think I did some grill numbers out in Washington State. I haven't done anything else, I think California, but Texas is the furthest west I've gone with both products.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so, I don't do the trade shows out that way too, but because I really don't know that area and stuff, so I'd have to do a lot more research, but at the end of the day, I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
it's definitely a time sensitive objects here. We're trying to deal with a personal, I mean, I'm glad we don't have any kids just yet, but one day then that'll definitely throw a monkey wrench into the whole operation.
Oh yeah. What's your kind of momentum builder, or what's your growth strategy right now? What are you doing to keep on keeping on?
I would say that the social media, that's where it is. I don't advertise on any of the big platforms, because everybody doesn't, everybody gets data different today,
Yeah.
Like the chief that is 50 years old, he still probably reads the magazine. But the chief that's 30 years old, he's checking it on his cell phone.
Yeah.
So, I haven't really figured that out. And so I just do it by social media and trying to just put out the product. Here you go. This is what we built. This is what we did. And then, hopefully them young kids go and they get it, turned up in the firehouse and like, hey, chief, can we do this? Can we do this and stuff? And
what sort of messages do you get or comments do you get all the time on your channels?
that's it. They just comment other people on there like, hey, like one guy will do it and then he'll just tag a bunch of friends and be like, this is what we need and needs to say this. Or, guys just drop me a line like, hey, we really like this. Can you put a 22 instead of a 19 in the middle of it? Sure, I can do whatever you guys want,
Yeah.
Like we're total custom things, I mean, that's it. You build a fire truck today, it's custom built to
Yeah, it starts
your
off with a
needs.
blank piece of paper, yeah.
Yeah, your needs. So that's how the mud flap's going to be. It's going to be off to your needs because you're going to be investing into 20 years of it.
How do you design that stuff? Or how do you have to find a graphic designer or find someone?
Yeah, graphic designer to handle all that stuff. Like I said, I only can go so big and 2D, and then I'm lost. But we have a graphic designer that handles all that stuff.
That's awesome. So tell me about some of your most impactful like customer trucks, or like have you done stuff where you've seen them on the news yet, or you've seen like...
When I sent up FDNY one, and like at the bottom of my grill numbers I say like the last thing is go to a job, because that's it. We're box alarm grills, and so I want you're ready for the box alarm to hit. And I remember I sent up FDNY ladder 16 it was, and the guy put them on that morning, and that afternoon they were headed to a job, their first in, and it was on the news and stuff like that, and he sent me the caption of it, and I was like, I told you, I said you're going to go to a job, that's how I do it.
That's
so
cool.
I would say that's cool. My wife, she loves the Boston 50. that's her favorite, because it's like, a specific flag to that little section of Boston that they protect, and so that was cool. My favorite is the Lady Warren 5. First ever custom cut number I did, and it turned out pretty sweet, and I really like it. I mean, it's the green with a gold outline, so it's a little Irish, and I have Irish in my background.
That's cool. I feel like there's a lot of art and a lot of like kind of, you have to know the story of the fire department in order to be able to put together exactly what they want, because it's not just a number. I mean, there's there's so much more to it.
Yeah, the red and white seems to be the popular thing. Everybody has red fire trucks. At Westgrove we run yellow fire trucks, so. Everybody has their own little niche and things.
Yeah.
So,
have you run or worked with a customer who's run a particularly impactful call where having that fire service brotherhood, like the stories make it back to you in your business, even if it's just you hear something at a trade show, or you hear whatever. But I mean, everyone's got impactful calls, but I guess what I'm actually getting at is like, how has this business allowed you to reach further in the industry and share those stories amongst the other firefighters that are, whatever those stories may be?
Yeah, I mean, that is it. Once you talk to another guy or female, and you get to understand them and what they've been through and stuff, then that way there you can relate. And I would say that I've definitely have understood, by taking classes and stuff at the different expos, because I always try to do that. I always try to get into classes when I get an expo, and then you hear their people, and then like after the end, it's like I go up to them and be like, I had the same call, and this is exactly what we did. And so I would say that, that built me up, because, you try to think alike, and, we're all here, for the same purpose of life and property to protect. So,
that's cool, man. Well, how's business today? Tell me about kind of what you're doing now. What's your day-to-day look like? And
day-to-day is pull my hair out first thing in the morning, figuring out all the emails and stuff like that. But business is really well. I'm very thankful. I think I hit it at the right time is what it comes down to. And
are you growing now?
Growing now, yes. Growing now. If I could have 3 of me, I would be much better off, but I only have 1. And
when's the first hire? When's that going to occur?
I'm not sure yet. I mean, I'm 1 foot in and 1 foot out of doing this full time. I have been really debating and stuff like that, but it's a big step, because like, I don't know, is it going to last? I can't shake the ball and look at the future and be like, oh, you're good for another 40 years. But I'm on that line now, and like I said, with my parents being retired, that is a huge help to me. And with my guys that are close by, like the weekends or when we crank it out the hardest, you know. And I don't know, when'd you get out? You know, when'd you like make that first employee? You know what I mean? It's a risk that you take, but I mean, you try, and you got to drive the business to you know, be self-sufficient. So I always invest back into the business, trying to make it better. Currently trying to do like the backlighting and the grill numbers and stuff like that. That's
I know some guys in the lighting world.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. And you guys have the colors and stuff. Everybody likes colorful stuff. I'm just more of a plain guy, but you know, that industry is driving me to develop something. So that's what I got to do. I got to sit down and think.
That's interesting. I'm curious about, you know, I was telling Chelsea earlier that at HiViz, I started this business in 2010 or 11. I mean, that's 12 years ago now. And then before that, I had a different business. So I can't really remember like the first launching phase of like, all right, I got to step out of. I never had a real job. I mean, the only real job I ever had was like giving grandma's hugs 2 o'clock in the morning on an ambulance. And so that first step, like I can't even picture what it's like to be evaluating that decision. I'm curious, like what has to be true for the business to be the right next play for you versus surveying and doing all the other stuff that you're doing today? Like what is it that would make it like, hell yeah, I'm going?
You know, I go to work happy every day and I come home happy every day. So I mean, that to me is worth the weight in gold there. You know, if I lose a little bit of money, it is what it is, you know, but I'm happy at the end of the day. Like, yeah, there's been some stressful times when you have 20 customers that expect it all by the end of the month. Yeah. And can I make that happen? I don't know. Yeah. So, but I mean, I tell people like, hey, it's just me and my wife, and, you know, we're just trying to get things started. Like, you know, you got to give us a little bit of time, and most people work with you. Yeah. And, but yeah, I remember that first call though from a company that wanted a department-wide fleet, and I just was like, wow, like this could be the one. This could make it happen. And you know, it was in a busy Mid-Atlantic area, and it took off, and I haven't turned back. And you know, like you, I opened a business not to go out of business. Like I want to stay in business. I want to continue. I enjoy what I do. You know, this is fun. Even just talking about it. You know, I think this is awesome. Just to talk about your story, and you know, the way you guys are exposing it is just superb. I really enjoy it.
We're so glad to be able to tell the story and to be able to work with other firefighters around the country to hear their stories and tell stories. And I think it's interesting to hear about, you know, just going out and doing it, because so many people get hung up on like, oh, I got to start and get my paperwork in line. I got to do all. It's like you got to make the first set of numbers. And I think that's, you know, what I hear is like, man, I had this idea, I did it, people liked it, did it again. You sort the other stuff out on the back end. Like, okay, I got to do the LLC shit. Okay, I guess I'll figure out how to do that. Yeah. But day one is like just
just building. Just building. That's all I want to do. I just want to put my hands to work, and you know, that was it. And as I went, and you mold yourself into how to become a business operator and how to run it. But I mean, I know the business inside and out. Yeah. And now I'm in that stage now. Like my wife can handle all production.
Yeah.
And she can build the boxes and stuff like that. Awesome. Like she likes power tools. So let her go to that. Now I just got to get her into the admin side of things and dealing with the quotes, because, you know, they're like, oh, we wanted to say this instead of that. And I'm like, well, you know, you guys just told me you wanted to say this. So I did what you said. And then it's like, you know, you go back and forth, and it's like, when I'm sitting behind the computer, guys, that's when I'm losing my time. That's when I'm losing my money. Like, I need you guys to be right on, spot on, and we'll make it happen. Just, you know, come with a good game plan.
Is that kind of the processization of business that you think maybe would occur as you begin to continue to get more and more robust as a company, like creating processes that allow for that? Do you think that will be a catalyst for future growth?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, we are growing, you know, like I said, been doubling every year that we've been in business, and I'm still trying to learn. You know, I'm not a businessman. I didn't go to school for business and understand it. So, I mean, my business still relies on a firm handshake. That's just how I was born and raised. So now I'm trying to mentor and teach others. Like, this is how we're going to do it, guys. This is what works. And, you know, I'll put my time into anybody to educate them, to make them better.
That's awesome. Well, tell me about what's next. I'm curious, what's the future look like for you and for your business and Fox Alarm Grills?
I would say that the future is, you know, you got to look at it in 5, 10, 15 years, you know, and in 5 years, this could be a full-time job for me then. And, you know, I'm not sure if I'm ready for that, because I'm still a little hesitant, because I enjoy surveying. That's where my like love is.
Yeah.
And but I mean, I also, don't get me wrong, I also enjoy this, but in 5 years, yeah, I think that we'll be rocking and rolling, and we'll be expanding even more. And like I said, I would say that's when I'll probably be ready to make some moves and try to get some employees and try to really grow the business then to a full-time gig.
That's awesome. Well, Danny, I really appreciate you being on the show. I want to close with any advice you might recommend for any other firefighters or folks that are looking at their 48 hours off shift thinking, maybe I can do something more with my time. What would you tell those guys?
I would say don't be afraid of anything. You have the dream, you write it down on paper, and you chase it, and you go for it, and you work your butt off until there's no end in sight. And the hard work that you put into it, that's what's going to make you feel 10 times better inside. And you build yourself a team. You surround yourself with the good people. Always say thank you, and make sure that you give it all that you have. And don't be scared. Like, yeah, I fell down. I went 6-7 months without selling any products. I didn't know what I was doing, but if you put the time in, it'll come to you, and you'll make it the best.
Well, that's good, man. I appreciate you being on and being able to chat with us. I think for other firefighters around the country, like, there is a little bit of that. I want to inspire others through the stories that we're telling here to go give it a go. And like, there was a quote in like a 1911 Theodore Roosevelt talked about, like, go out and get in the arena. And like, unless you get out and do it and get out and try, like, yeah, you might fail. You might fail a bunch of times, but eventually, like, you got to actually go try it. Like, get in the arena and give it a go. And I wrote an article on LinkedIn a long time ago about it, but there's a really interesting, like, public servants are kind of just poised to be rough and tumble and to, like, the Chumbawamba song, like, when I get knocked down, I get back up again. Like, that's the public service industry. It's like, okay, shit, that didn't work. Get back up and do it again. And I want to tell the story and inspire people not to be scared to get knocked down and then get back up again.
You got to dive right in and
get in the arena.
Like I said, I'm 100 mile an hour on anything that I do, and I was full throttled for it. And yeah, when that throttle got pulled to zero, that just, like, my chains were ready to break because I want to get back into 100. And so you find your ways. It's crazy how it happens, but you find your ways when things are rough. You find your ways how to make it better. And I'm a problem solver. That's what I like to do. I like to solve the problem. So we'll do it.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you, Danny. I really appreciate you being
thank
on
you
the
guys.
show, and we'll look forward to following you on social and watching your business continue to grow.
That's it. That's all it is. Thank you guys again.
For sure.